Affordability is back in focus as we enter the festive season, and it's not just what's in your grocery cart. Joining us for an in-depth look at the U.S. economy today is Economist Christian Briggs, CEO of Hard Asset Management. Good to have you with us today, Christian, and good to see you back.
You too. Thanks, Stephanie. I love being here.
For sure. Now let's start with consumer sentiment. It apparently slumped during the shutdown, and that's according to the University of Michigan's survey. But while inflation is lower than just a couple years ago, people are feeling the strain today. So how is the economy doing more broadly?
Well, that's a question that people keep asking, and I'm going to kind of put it in the simplest context. You have an economy that's slowing down. By all definition, it's getting slower. So that bottom half of America really is feeling that bit of a pinch, and the inflation has come down. You're absolutely correct. But is it down enough? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Just because something comes down from a high, when we're at a 40-year high in inflation, so let's start with that. Is it enough to be able to increase the ability for wages to go up? Because a lot of employers, and the government for that matter, when they do these statistics, they try to make sure that there is enough information for employers as well as any individual small businesses to be able to raise prices, right? We got to keep those wages going up to offset that inflation, even when it's coming down. Well, as you saw, the administration yesterday said now we're not going to be sending out any statistics on both inflation or jobs creation. And that's going to create a little bit of an ambiguous market information flow. So I'm not so sure that it was the right move, but I will say this, the administration is bringing inflation down. But yesterday, not really releasing the statistics may kind of cloud a little bit going forward about what we need to do.
In light of that and this missing data, what do you think, what else could the government do now to increase growth and reduce that inflation?
Number one thing is get the government working again, because we lost about $1 trillion of economic prosperity, or at least on the GDP, because it's going to probably have some type of a contraction. Certainly the GDP is going to come down for third and fourth quarter. We need these people working. One of the things I've always said, when you measure economic growth, you have to understand that every dollar that's put forth within the economy, whether it's in manufacturing or services, has a direct effect that multiplies within the economy. And people sometimes forget that. So for every dollar extracted from the economy, from productivity through either taxes or just simply going to work, that has a profound effect. In services, it could be 2 to 3 times. Every dollar can reach 2 to 3 times within the local, state, or even federal economy. When it comes to manufacturing, a dollar loss, it reverberates 6 negative dollars. So what happens is when you start to see these shutdowns, there is a profound effect. Now, how long will it take to get back up and running, and what can the government do? Get a good bill put together, because people, especially Wall Street, look at what's happened the last few days with the Dow. People don't like uncertainty. Put a good framework together. Trump's doing a great job trying to do that. The Democrats need to come to the table, because nobody likes uncertainty, especially the markets and especially small businesses right now.
And what can small businesses, mom and pop operations and individuals do within this uncertainty at this time?
Oh, that's a great question, because I wish I had the silver bullet answer on that one. The uncertainty right now is, and this is what I'm hearing from small businesses, because I do a lot of work within that community trying to bring some type of understanding or a plan. They're cutting back. The small businesses are cutting back. They're not hiring as much. In fact, they might be even starting to lay off a little bit, but they're nervous because of the uncertainty. Government has to have a certain understanding that small businesses look to the government for some direction, whether it's tax policy, whether it's inflation gauging, and then, of course, expansion. The government needs to have a clear message that we're on the side of small businesses. We're going to give you the information at your fingertips that you need to make a decision whether to expand, maintain, or maybe lessen your business from hiring standpoint or production. Some people aren't ordering as much materials right now because they're worried about a slowdown in the economy. So government needs to have a clear message. Trump always has been doing a good job at that. He now needs to get all of Congress, and not just Republicans, but the Democrats, to the table, because small businesses is 99% of the GDP. People don't realize that.
Yeah, and now that the government is back open, it's not too certain how long it will stay open for, considering that one of the main sticking points was healthcare funding, and that's currently being negotiated. how do you see the healthcare conundrum here? Trump has suggested the ACA subsidies should instead go directly to Americans. Do you think that model could make healthcare more affordable?
100%. All right, let's talk about that. Great question, because you're the first person that's asked it. And you've asked it in the right way. Can it help the American people? That's the key. So when Obama originally did the ACA, he had to get the buy-ins of all the insurance companies. Well, of course, the insurance companies were going to say yes. They're going to be able to double and triple their coverage, which was a good thing. Having everybody covered under some type of a health plan, even a catastrophic health plan, is better than nothing. So the plan had systematically a great starting point. But what the insurance companies did was took full advantage of being able to raise those rates where they were able to do so. So they basically increased I call it the Unaffordable Care Act premiums by about 400 to 500%. What Trump's saying is so correct. We need to take the money back from the insurance companies. Not that they're evil things by any means, but they've grossly been able to outpace the inflation with their premiums. And what Trump's saying is, look, let's give that money back to the people and lower those rates. He's absolutely right. And if he moves forward with that model, you will see healthcare costs could drop 30 or 40% within a year or two once they put that into action. But the insurance companies have never been richer. And great, that's capitalism. That's 101. But not on the backs of healthcare of the working class, okay? Because that's who pays the majority of the premiums is the small businesses and the working class. Let's give that money back to those people. Let's lower those rates, and let's make affordable healthcare under the Trump administration a reality and not a perception.
And that is something that all Americans really care about, affordable health care. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle care about it. There seem to be murmurings now of the potential for bipartisan agreements coming on this point. But how likely do you think that could be, that perhaps a Trump care plan could come to be?
All right. We're going to talk about that. I think there's a high likelihood they're going to come up with a plan. And hear me out on this one. The Democrats and Republicans have a voting constituents, right? They've got a voting pool that come to them for all of their various reasons why they might affiliate with a party. But here's the number one thing that's in common. Every single person, regardless of party affiliation, needs health care. You need quality health care to maintain a great lifestyle. And in order to do that, everyone's looking for the administration to be the lead on this. And what I would tell the administration and tell President Trump is, you do what you know to be the best opportunity and get the Democrats to the table, because they're not going to waver off this. They're going to come to the table wanting a deal because, hey, they got voters too that are looking to them for health care. Now, they may not like the fact that President Trump is leading the parade on this one, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you don't have health care, if it's not affordable, those people, regardless of party affiliation, are going to vote to the party that brings them a health care deal, or at least looks like they're attempting to bring one in the most bipartisan way. That's the one area that I would say that we're universal agreement on across the nation with all American citizens. Everybody wants quality, low cost, full coverage health care. Doesn't have to be socialized medicine. Private medicine is still the best opportunity. So I think both parties know they could lose votes in the midterms and could be significant in the general election in 28, because healthcare, you ask anybody, it's probably outside what you get paid, the number one concern in American citizens today, especially in families.
Certainly, and there's so much to talk about on this topic of the economy with so many moving parts, especially now the government's back open. I wish we could speak for longer. That's all we have time for right now. Thank you so much for your time today, Christian Briggs.
You too, Stephanie. Thank you so much.